What is going on, everyone? I am excited to bring you this video. We are talking about Werner Enterprises. We're taking a look and doing a deep dive on the company to show you guys what it would be like to try to work for this company and go through the process and show you what you need to do when you're looking for a training company to go start with, or any company for that matter, to do your research and find out what they're all about before you go ahead and sign that contract. We got a former Werner driver that has gone through Werner's training process on the phone, and we had a 30-minute conversation with him. I've broken it down to where it's a little bit more digestible, but you get to hear directly from a driver what their experience was going through Werner's training. You don't want to miss that. Make sure you stay to the end to find out if Trucker 219 would go to Werner and go to work for them. But first, we are having a phone conversation with a real Werner recruiter. That's right, we got a real Werner recruiter on the phone and asked them all the questions that you should ask a recruiter when you're looking for your next driving job. I did the legwork for you so you don't have to. All right, let's go.
Werner Recruiting, this is...
Hi, I was calling to see if I can get some more information about your company and what it would take to become a driver with you guys.
Okay, do you have a CDL already?
I was curious about both options, either A, going through you guys to get the CDL, if you guys offer that, and going through a private institution.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, so we don't really offer that in the sense that we don't pay for it up front, but we do tuition reimbursement if you go somewhere. We do own a school called Roadmaster, but they operate separately from us, so you would have to reach out to them for information on enrollment and cost of tuition and all that.
Okay, so you guys, Roadmaster is a branch off of Werner?
It is. It's a separate entity, but it's a school that's under our umbrella. Where do you live at?
I live in Tennessee.
Where at in Tennessee?
I'm actually calling just to get some more information about the company specifically.
Well, right. I'm just trying to gauge if there's a Roadmaster close to you or not, and I don't think there is. So the closest one is probably going to be the one in Georgia, Lithia Springs, most likely.
Okay, right by Atlanta.
What's that?
Right by Atlanta.
Yeah, it's by Six Flags.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of outside of Atlanta. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that would be the closest one for Roadmaster. Now there's other schools that we work with, or that we'll hire out of, I should say.
Gotcha.
But that's what we would require. We would require you to complete at least a 160-hour course from a school that is one that we're set up to hire out of, and we are not set up to hire out of all of them. So if your plan is you want to come here after graduating, definitely make sure before you commit to school, make sure that you call us and determine if it's a school we work with or not.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just trying to figure out what company would be the best to go through. I'm calling a lot of the major carriers. I know they do training out of school normally.
I personally don't like it when you go through, because when you do the carriers that put you through their own school, then you're committed to them. And
right.
You can't often work at other places. So if you have a way to get it on your own, like Roadmaster or one of the other ones, if you go to Roadmaster, you're not committed to coming here. And then I know that they have a finance program and all of that, but I would definitely try to do a private thing. Try to do it on your own and not through a carrier.
Gotcha. And then as far as like I was saying, what you guys offer as a company, once you get to Werner, what's the training like there?
So we have a pretty extensive training program. It's 3 to 5 weeks out with a trainer, and it is paid. It's $700 a week. And then after that training period is up, then you go into the truck on your own, whatever account it is that you came on for.
Gotcha. And you did say you guys do tuition reimbursement. It's $700 a week, you said?
So that's $700 a week is the pay that you get for training.
Gotcha.
Tuition reimbursement is $225 a month.
Now, is that on top of what you're making from doing the loads? Does the tuition reimbursement?
Yeah. That's separate from your pay.
Okay, and then the tuition reimbursement starts in training, or does it start once you become solo?
It starts 30 days after employment.
Okay, so about halfway through training or when you go solo.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
And then once I were to get to being a solo driver, what would the pay be, cents per mile, or do you guys do by the load, or?
Well, it kind of depends. So, like solo over the road, that is not always an option. That's going to be the lower paying one. That one drivers average around 64,000 a year. If you're open to team driving, that you're going to be looking at more 70 to 75,000 a year. And then if we have like a driver unload account, like a Dollar General or Dollar Tree, they're 100% driver unload, but they pay a lot more. Drivers on those average around usually like high 80s, low 90s per year.
Gotcha. Now you're giving me a yearly salary. Is that a guaranteed yearly salary, or is it based off of your miles and cents per mile?
None of it's going to be guaranteed because this is all performance based, right? So if you go out there and you decide you don't want to hammer down and work hard, then obviously your pay is going to reflect that. So solo driving is 41 cents a mile. Team driving is either 53 or 54, depending on which account you go on. And then the dollar accounts, I can't give you a number on without knowing which account it would be available.
Gotcha.
But those there's a cent per mile, plus usually trailer unload pay, and then sometimes there's like stop pay. There's either a higher trailer unload pay or a lower trailer unload pay and stop pay.
Gotcha. And then as far as solo drivers, do you happen to know like the average weekly mileage?
So again, if it's solo over the road, it's going to be different because solo over the road, you're looking at like 22 to 2,500 miles a week. If you're doing one of the driver unloads, then it could be as little as $800 a week, or 800 miles a week. But
you're making a lot more stops, right?
You're making a lot more stops and money and all of that. So, and you're also getting like, usually those are somewhere in the 70 cents per mile. So you're getting a much higher mileage pay. Gotcha.
Now, you were talking about the Dollar General and Dollar Tree runs, and you said there's outside of the mileage pay, there's additional pays and stuff. What about for solo or team? Is there like layover, detention?
I mean, every company is going to offer layover and detention on stuff. It's just a lot of times it's on a case-by-case basis, and it's hard. Like if I were to sit here and say, yes, we're going to pay you detention, then that's going to be the end-all, be-all to you. So if you're late or something like that, if our drivers are late, our customer doesn't pay us detention. So it kind of gets into a case-by-case basis. But if you're dispatched with enough time to get somewhere and you don't get there in time, then they're probably not going to pay layover pay. But if you're dispatched and things happen and you weren't dispatched with enough time to get there, then you're going to get layover pay.
Gotcha. And then assuming you arrive on time and get there for your delivery, detention would be paid after 2 hours then?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. And then do you guys offer insurance?
Yep. We have full health insurance, dental, vision.
Awesome. And then as far as home time, I'm assuming training is probably going to be a lot more limited as far as home time, but once
you're out the whole time during training, but it depends on which account you come on. Some of them are weekly, some of them are 4 weeks out.
Gotcha. So maximum typically is about 4 weeks on the road?
Yeah.
And then a weekend, 3-day, 2-day weekend home?
It depends. So like the over-the-road stuff, it's a day off for each week you're out. If you're on one of the home weeklies, you usually get 34 to 48 hours off. Gotcha.
And then for me, where I'm located, do you guys do orientation in different locations based off of where the drivers are?
You would be in Atlanta.
Gotcha.
At the Lithia Springs terminal.
Awesome. Well, I think that's all the questions that I have for you.
All right.
I will definitely be looking into some training schools and stuff to find out what works best.
All right. Well, good luck to you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
So it's definitely very interesting to hear that they don't do their own training program. It's kind of surprising for a big company like Werner not to do that. And I'm glad she did recommend to go to a private institution for your CDL training, just so you have the option to go to other places. I definitely recommend to do the same. It was definitely good to hear that. You've seen, though, how she was quite hesitant to tell me what the cents per mile was. And a lot of companies will typically do that. They'll try to give you that top pay based on a yearly salary, and that's not how trucking works. Trucking works in either cents per mile, percentage, a daily rate, kind of a mix of a bunch of different stuff, but it doesn't equate to exactly a year salary, like she said, the 50,000, 70,000, whatever it was. So it took a little poking and prodding to get that out of her, which she's a recruiter. Her job is to give the information that she's required to give in order to get the drivers on board. The issue that I do have with this, though, is when driver recruiters falsely display what you're going to be making based off a yearly salary versus breaking it down by cents per mile and mileage that you'll be making throughout the week. And here's the main reason why. We're going to break down exactly what she said and break it down to where we can see the actual calculations. Okay, so let's do the math on that real quick. Let's say at the top, we are doing 2,500 miles a week, and that's the top of her estimate. Now we multiply that by 41 cents a mile. That brings you at $1,025 for the week. Now granted, this is before taxes. Now we're going to multiply that by, there's 53 weeks in a year. Now, take into consideration that this is not giving you any home time at all. This is straight running 53 weeks a year at the top. Times 53 weeks in a year. That gives you $54,325 for the year, not $64,000 per year. And this is based on the maximum amount of her estimate. This is why I'm recommending to you to push for that cents per mile and then the average weekly. So these tactics are used by driver recruiters all the time, and this is why I encourage you guys to push for those numbers and do the math on your own to figure out what it actually is, because that doesn't make sense at all. So now into the next part of learning about a company before you go and start with them. We're going to go ahead and take a look at some online information that they have. So we're on here. She did say that my training company would be the Lithia Springs, Georgia location. So we're taking a look through here at some of the reviews. They got 3.7 stars. I always recommend to people to give a little bit of slack for just disgruntled employees to show their butt on these reviews, just to get back at them. So we're looking at the options here. Let's go to the ones that mention training. This one is a 1-star, 10 months ago. To anyone looking to do their training/orientation here, do not do it. They will fire you unfairly and blame you for it. I was told over and over. I was called multiple times with multiple voicemails left, yet I never received anything. And there's more there if you want to check that out, but that's not a really good review. This one's got a 5-star review. Let's go ahead and click that one just so we can shine some light on the good stuff. It says, I love the company. They treat me fairly, and it's been pretty much dependable for me and my family. I am a company team driver with my partner, and we have made some good runs. I got the bulk of my training with this company, which is sometimes hard for women. So she must be a female driver. The training isn't hard. Finding a good female trainer that is hard. They do exist, especially if you come in with the right attitude. Being a female truck driver isn't glamorous, but it does expand your experiences to different places you wouldn't ordinarily be able to go. Awesome. So I'm glad she had a good experience, especially being a female driver in a dominantly male-dominated industry, that she didn't have too much trouble with that. Okay, so we got a 5-star review here from a David, so I'm guessing that's a male. The staff was super friendly and helpful with the training and instruction. Felt very comfortable and confident once training concluded, and I recommend the Werner experience to anyone interested. So we got another 5-star review here on mentioning training. Here's a 1-star from a Roscoe. Let's check out and see what he's got to say. Simulator broken until December 1st at the earliest. Smith training not available until Thursday. Today is 10th, so this was back in 2018. So they do run training simulators through kind of like a video game, essentially a truck driving simulator. This way you're not damaging stuff out on the lot all the time. I have heard that. Okay, so these are a little bit older, 5 years, 8 years, 5 years. So the most recent one that we got is this pretty negative one from this person, a 5-star here. 2-star here, so it's kind of a mixed bag. What was the best part of training? Like, if remembering back, what was the highlight of training? I mean, other than being able to drive a giant truck down the road, which is pretty cool in itself.
Oh man, that was going to be it.
Sometimes the reviews can be misleading because I've heard that people are paid to put good reviews on and disgruntled people leave the negative reviews, so it's kind of a mixed bag. But guess what? The internet's a big place and you can find out a lot more information. Let's go ahead and take a look at this Reddit post to see what is in the comments of this. All right, so this one says, Werner orientation. I start Werner, West Memphis on Tuesday as a rookie. What should I expect? What's the training like, and will they put me over the road for training? If my trainer works extra days, will my training be shorter? So this person said 2 years ago, fellow driver here for Werner, we employ, I'm not saying that, the R words, no experience required. After a few days of observation, your leader/trainer will retire to the sleeper, and Werner will try to make you run as a team driver for your trainer. Beware. This means Werner will ask you to sleep on the truck. It's tough to sleep on the truck while your trainer is driving. You do not have to do it. Demand from your trainer's fleet manager that you be put in a hotel because lack of sleep is a matter of safety. I did this and drove Monday through Friday with weekends in a hotel. Best decision I ever made during trucking. After training, you'll return to a terminal for more sims, testing, and finally your truck assignment. Do not accept their first offer, which will be a high mileage international, probably a smoker's truck that stinks of death. Hold out for a low mileage Kenworth or Pete. Do not take an international nor a Freightliner, or else you will hate your job and want to quit. All right, so for my personal experience, just on that last little bit about which truck to take and which not to take, a truck is a truck. At the end of the day, if it's making you money, that's great. It might not be the shiniest or the prettiest turd in the bunch, but nevertheless, it'll make you some money. I would recommend to take what you can get, especially when you're training. I do recommend that you're getting good sleep. No matter what, always make sure you're getting good sleep. And it is very challenging to get some good sleep while somebody else is driving. Riding shotgun and taking a nap in the passenger seat of a car is completely different to laying down in a full bed and hitting a bump and bouncing up in it or ending up on the floor. So if you're having trouble sleeping, safety's number one priority, and no company is going to question you on that. Let me know in the comments section down below if you got a company that you want me to dive into as well. Also, let me know if you've had any experience with Werner and what yours was like in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. All it takes is a little bit of legwork to find out what companies are all about and see if it's a good fit for you. Some people are more interested in certain things than others, so it kind of all depends on you what the best company for you is. And that's why I always recommend, if you can and there's a truck stop nearby you, get on there and talk to go over to the truck stop and talk to actual drivers. And in fact, that's what we did here on Trucker 219. We went ahead and reached out to a Werner driver that had been with them for 9 months and talked to him, and you're fixing to hear that now. So let's go ahead and have a conversation with Mr. Kyle. What company did you end up doing your training through?
I hope I didn't misunderstand. My first job was with Werner, but to get my CDL, I went with an independent school.
Okay. But your first job was with Werner, and they trained you up from just getting your CDL?
Yeah.
Gotcha. That was the first question I was going to ask you, actually, was did you get your CDL through the company or through a private institution?
I actually went and got student loans for it. It cost something like $8 or $10 grand. I took a 6-month course. It was a little excessive, but that's the only one student loans would cover. And when I actually went to Werner, they actually paid back the student loans. They paid a certain amount per week or month to, pay back the balance for me. So that's kind of the best of both worlds, in my opinion. Do it privately and then get a company to pay them back for you.
Definitely. So Werner did a tuition reimbursement program, basically?
Yeah.
So let me ask you, how long were you with Werner? And you said you went straight from school. First, let me back up just a second. Did they send recruiters to your school from Werner?
I don't think they actually had a recruiter, but they did. One of the trucks we had was an old Werner truck.
Okay.
And they converted the bed into 3 more seats. So they would bring us all out on the road in that and have us take turns driving and shifting in the Werner truck.
Very cool. And you said you were with Werner for how long after that?
I was with them for about 9 months.
Okay.
They didn't end up paying back all of my tuition, but they would have had I stayed with them longer.
Gotcha.
And I was doing the Dollar Tree account with them, so a lot of tight spaces, a lot of city driving, a lot of unloading. But I liked it. It was a good. It was a tough first year, but it really set me up to succeed.
So they had you on the Family Dollar route?
Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree, gotcha.
I actually did do a little bit of Family Dollar later, but mostly it was Dollar Tree.
Gotcha. That's brutal. That's a lot of hard work. Oh, yeah. I did a contract for a week and told the boss, no, thank you. I'm not doing that no more. It's not worth the money.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Nowadays, I would say the same thing.
Gotcha. What was the training process like with them? I know you said you went through CDL school. I did as well. But I feel like once you got to your first company, they did their level of training where you're going out with a trainer, or what was that process like for you?
Yeah, so I actually trained over the road with Werner. First, they brought us to their terminal in Allentown, Pennsylvania. They've got a bunch of them, but that's the one I went to. And okay. We had, I want to say it was a week of classes of going over a bunch of stuff, getting the formalities out of the way. Then they brought us out into the yard one of the days and taught us a few things with the trucks, went over a pre-trip, did a few maneuvers, and then they had us in a hotel this whole time. After the week of training, I spent about another week in the hotel waiting for a trainer to be available.
Really?
Yeah, and I got out of there pretty quick. I was training for a total of about 3 months with other drivers.
Multiple other drivers?
Yes.
Okay.
Usually it's only one. But my first driver, after 3 or 4 weeks, he had some kind of issue with Werner. He was an owner-op, and something happened with his training endorsement with Werner, so they took him off of the training account and put me with another guy. That guy was also an owner-operator, and he was trying to get me to fudge my logs and go off duty when I'm not, and drive on his time and vice versa. So I didn't like that, and I talked to Werner and got off of that truck. And then my third guy, he was a company driver. I was with him for a month and a half, 2 months. He was a cool dude. He taught me a lot. We went all over the country, 45 states.
And you said a 3-month period? You went to all 45?
Yeah, I was everywhere.
Wow. They kept you guys moving. Then did you guys operate more as a team, or did, the trainer sit up there with you and then you guys bunk up whenever the day's done?
It was kind of a 50-50. There was some team driving, but they didn't run us as hard as a team. So we had we had a few hours a night at least where we were both off duty, just sleeping or hanging out.
Yeah, so you said you were with him for 3 months. Do you happen to remember what your cents per mile was while you were in training?
I don't think I was actually paid cents per mile in training. I think I just had a weekly stipend, basically.
Okay.
It wasn't great. I want to say it was somewhere in the $600 or $700 range. While
you were with them, specifically on training, how difficult was it to get home time?
During training, I think I only went home once. I didn't really ask for much home time during training. I was just really excited to be in a truck and see the country, After the training, I realized over the road wasn't for me, so I've always had home time since then.
Gotcha.
I've heard it can be rough, but it really depends on your dispatcher.
How do you feel about whether or not the company did an adequate job getting you prepared to be on your own and do a good job being a trucker?
I think Werner did a pretty good job of that. That's something, again, that's going to rely a lot on your personal trainer. I wouldn't be afraid to ask for a new trainer if you don't fit with an old one,
Right.
I mean, I did that, and it worked great. I went from a guy who was teaching me horrible habits to somebody I clicked with and had a great time.
What sort of logging device were they on, Qualcomm?
Honestly, I can't remember the name of it with Werner.
If I remember right, what we had in my first training company, and a couple other companies as well, was Qualcomm. Another big one is PeopleLink. And by now they've come up with so many different ones. Verizon has one. You got the Keep Trucking. Well, Motive now, formerly known as Keep Trucking. But yeah, there's so many out there. But the Qualcomm, it was your messaging system where you messaged the dispatch through it. Pretty much everything came through there until you weren't getting a load when you needed it, and you had to call them and gripe.
Yeah, that's what Werner had. That sounds right? So it might have been Qualcomm. And I do remember PeopleNet from another company. So that Qualcomm sounds right. That could be what they were running.
I do believe Werner was one of the big pioneers in the electronic logging device.
They were.
Were they doing a good job at keeping you moving?
Yeah, I don't remember us sitting for more than an evening, here or there.
Gotcha.
We were always going somewhere. We didn't stay and visit in a lot of states. We were just passing through most of them, but
right.
Yeah, we were always somewhere.
Well, that's good to hear. What was the best part of training? Like, if remembering back, what was the highlight of training? I mean, other than being able to drive a giant truck down the road, which is pretty cool in itself.
Oh man, that was going to be it. Probably the best part for me was meeting the people in the industry and seeing what it was really like, finally having an actual career that I can be proud of. I don't know, it's kind of personal for me.
Gotcha. What's something that you would have changed about the training process?
I think I would have made it less standardized.
Can you explain that?
Basically, there were a lot of things that had to be done a certain way, I guess. And I didn't learn the things the Werner way. It just didn't click with me. I kind of wish they would take more of a focus on the individual and how they are going to learn the job,
That sounds fair. Yeah, definitely. Where it's a unique approach based on the person, not just a formulaic, here's the rules, here's the process, step A, step B, step C. Everybody has their own way of doing stuff. When you got into it, and even to this day, now that you've been trucking for a good amount of time, was it what you expected it to be?
Parts of it were. I think I had a romanticized view about it from like the movies and TV and all that. It is a job, it is a lifestyle. You're going to be living around the truck, it's work. And I expected it to be almost like a vacation. I don't think there's as much camaraderie on the road as there appears to be either. People don't respect truck drivers on the road, that's for sure.
100%. You said you're still in it, you're still doing it 7 years strong. Would you go back and do it over again had given the opportunity?
I like to think of it like this. I probably wouldn't be a truck driver again, but I definitely do not regret doing it. I would put it nowadays as probably a second or third option because you can always come back to it if your first choice doesn't work out, They're a mega carrier. They're nothing amazing, but they're not terrible,
Right.
You're going to be a number at them just like you will at any of the other mega carriers. Do your time. If you like the job, keep staying, keep doing it, and I suggest get a year of experience and go to a smaller outfit.
Definitely. All right, my friend. Well, it was good talking to you. I definitely appreciate your time. Keep in touch, man. Let me know how you're doing in your career, if you're still loving it.
Yeah, I'll keep in touch, man. It was nice talking to you.
You as well. I appreciate your time.
Well, hey, I wish you the best.
All right, my friend. Take care.
Yeah. Have a good night.
You too. Bye-bye. If you've done any training at any of the major carriers and you'd like to share your story as well, reach out to me at my email, thetrucker219@gmail.com. I'll leave that down in the description below. Now it's time to answer the big question. Would Trucker219, me, go to work for Werner? Actually, yes. As a training company, I definitely would go to work for Werner. Overall, based off of the research that I've done on this company, it seems like a good start for a long trucking career. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd give it an 8. Mainly because the recruiter gave some false information when it comes to that yearly salary, and it took poking and prodding in order to get the correct information out of it. Also, some of the bad reviews definitely left an impact, and after talking to the driver, that's where my biggest influence came in for the positive aspect of Werner Enterprises. Now, as far as long-term with Werner, I don't think I would be sticking around with them forever, but to get the training out of the way and get some experience under my belt, it seems like they do a decent job at training people up. All right, y'all, that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. As always, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what company you want me to do a deep dive in next. And if you like that video, I did a whole video on what questions you need to ask the recruiters that I put into practice in this video. If you want to see that, click right here. All right, bye.